Hello students, this video will go over the steps for creating the outline sketch of your Alebrije. It assumes that you have already chosen two animals that you feel like strongly represent you or are you want to be your spirit animals for 2021. Either you came across this animal by taking the spirit animal info quiz, or you just feel like this animal represents you the way that it is, because I know that website didn't have all the animals to choose from. So for this example, as you think about which features you're going to combine and use, I want you to really think about what's going to be the main animal, and then what's going to be the animal that kind of the features of the second animal that you can just accessorize your main animal with. So for example, in this alpaca monk that we looked at in class today, the head is almost all alpaca, the legs are all alpaca, but then the body and tail are very reminiscent of the chipmunk. So it's kind of taking features of both, but there is mostly alpaca, um, with a little modifications for the chipmunk. So when you're looking at pictures, think about, taking the essential features of your animal and then either exaggerating them, combining them with another animal, modifying them. So for example, the horse may look like this, but an alebrije doesn't have to look exactly like a realistic horse. It can also have wings. Why not? An alebrije mouse can have way bigger ears, or maybe it has some funky tail. That is up to you. But you want to think about what are those essential features that you're going to exaggerate and combine together. So when I took the quiz, I got a snake, and I don't necessarily agree, but I do feel like the snake, according to the website, they said that the snake was a representation of healing. And so I'm going with that. I feel like snakes get a bad rap, and they're always depicted as like, scary in these scary villainous poses. Um, but me personally, I feel like my spirit animal is a lemur. I've always liked their tails and their goofy faces that they sometimes make. So I'm going to be working on combining these two animals. I'm probably going to do mostly lemur, and then I'm going to work on maybe putting the snake as part, like where the tail kind of transforms into a snake. So the first step is really kind of identifying what are the main geometric shapes of your animal. So with that, I'm going to open up my paper. All right, so we've got our paper here. I'm going to put this so that I can see both of them. So now the first thing I'm going to focus on is creating just ovals to kind of show the general shape and pose. If anybody remembers the assignment from last year of gesture sketching, this is very similar to gesture sketching, except it's animals instead of people. So I'm going to focus first on the body, and then I'm going to hang the limbs from that. And I'm going to be really using light lines for this. So let me just turn my camera exposure down so that you can actually see the super light lines that I'm going to do. And I'm doing very light lines, and I'm just thinking about proportions. So this animal, I can even use my pencil to measure. This animal is roughly, this big long, and is roughly, this big tall. So I'm gonna I'm gonna use those proportions to kind of I know that this goes down to here, and then the tail, measure with my pencil, is roughly that tall. So I'm going to kind of do a tail. Ooh, that actually gave me an idea. What if it had like 3 tails? Who knows? Doesn't need to be realistic. So I've got kind of some general proportions. I'm going to now just start to focus on where the body is thicker or thinner, because in this animal, it's kind of thicker in the front, and then it kind of tapers in the back a little bit. And I'll just erase a little of this here. But it only is, this part is easiest if you do very light lines. And now I'm going to focus on the legs. And with legs, you know, the front leg comes up and it may look like it ends here, but the bones go all the way up to into the body. So you do want to think about like where the muscles and armature of the animal go, not necessarily just where it looks like it is. It's okay if I go a little bit over the line. And now I'm going to kind of do this. I think I did the chicken wing backwards. This kind of chicken wing leg that goes this way. It's wider for the back leg, and then it kind of narrows, and then it kind of has a little paw here. And then this leg disappears, but I'm still going to draw it as if it connected. And then I'll come down. And I'll repeat that same thing with this arm that's almost totally blocked. Just barely see it. And then for the head, you know, the head, I could get a real measurement and say it's only as big as my eraser. But I think for me, especially because this is a cartoon-esque character, I'm going to actually enlarge that. So it would normally have been probably like this. I'm going to kind of blow it up a little bit bigger. And then to help show that it's looking in a particular direction, it is helpful to do kind of the, whatever you call the nose slash snout angle, to make it look like it's kind of looking in this direction. And I may also start to kind of exaggerate those ears a little bit. Exaggerate that. So now that I've got kind of a light outline, I'm going to start to go over it with a slightly darker outline. And when I do this, I'm going to focus a little bit on adding some texture. So I'll kind of do a few little fuzzy lines, followed by maybe like a straight line, and then I'll do part of that snout. Then I'll do some fuzzy lines over here, followed by this, and then I'll kind of do some fuzzies at the tips of the ears. So I am kind of doing some texturizing as I add that darker line. I can get solid lines, solid fluid lines, even if the leg looks like it kind of disappears inside the body, like here. I'm going to pretend that it's not, and I'm going to do it separately. Now I'll do kind of like, and this, I'm going to exaggerate here a little bit, make it kind of droop it down. There is a little bit of a leg that comes out here, but I'm pressing harder and kind of exaggerating. This one I'll do kind of, this side will be solid, but this side will have some fuzz. And now this leg disappears under the body, but it does pop out here and it's front solid. So I'm doing some solid lines. If you're doing an animal that had more wool, you could do kind of like some bumps. If it was more of like flowy lines, maybe it's fish scales. Fish, I would do a solid line and then probably add the scales later if it's any sort of reptile or those kind of things. Now I'll do, remember I said I was thinking about doing the 2 or 3 tails? I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to add another tail and another tail. And I'm going to have these all turning into like snakes. So I'm going to kind of make them more solid and then So I've got kind of a good, I might need to revise this area here so that there are 3. But for the most part, it doesn't look half bad. I haven't worried about details. I haven't worried about pattern. All I'm going to do now to finish this up is just erase the light lines inside so that I'm left with the solid outlines. So that is the steps for drawing your Alebrije. Again, you're focusing on exaggerating or combining features from 2 animals. If you have any questions, please email me. Otherwise, I hope everybody's safe and well and have a great day.